we've met with different folks at different levels of recruiting. This is a very high up level in charge of college internship programs for a large software company here in the Seattle region. And we were meeting with her, and we were talking about what stands out when she's got, a short amount of time to look at resumes and go through things. And I said, I was giving my best, right? Oh, I was a humanities major. I know how to communicate well and think outside the box. I have a global perspective. I understand the complexity of humans. And she just said, so does every humanities major. Next, what do you have? I said, well, I've studied abroad and I've, learned to live with discomfort. She goes, so has everybody. Next. And she was just going through the list of things that I had been sort of reinforced as believing those were so valuable as part of my school aspect. And she just could not differentiate that because they were ubiquitous. And I think we've talked about this. If that degree was so powerful of a pre-professional experience, we would have employers lining up and saying, we need all of your Spanish majors. We need all of your English majors. We need all of your philosophy majors. I'm not saying those are all great degrees, but it's not the content of the degrees that separates individuals in terms of hiring. And I think for students who fall back on the story of just their major, they run into trouble. When we got through my crestfallen news that all of my humanities hard work and endeavors were, anonymous and sort of ubiquitous for anyone who had studied that, I said, what are you looking for? And she started saying things like, well, customer service, food service, barista, camp counselor, nanny. I'm sitting there thinking, wow, these are the things that stand out. But you immediately have a context, again, to Kevin's earlier point of your audience. And Kiera, I think you just reiterated that as well. If you're just sitting there and putting together a 3-minute monologue about the best of myself as conceived of myself in the vacuum of thinking just to myself, it could be the wrong story. And in fact, a lot of times it might be, especially when you're not practiced in that. And so that recruiter or head of summer internships told us those sorts of things where I know there was stress involved. I know there were pressures. I know there were conflicts and difficulties and challenges. It's a loaded term here with gesture, but those were part of it. And I think that was one thing that really struck me is that our students need to lean into that and hearing that they might have some stories that have more traction outside of school that are not school stories.